Welcome to the Investor Shed Podcast with Nick Beveridge, the ultimate source for all things investing and beyond. For free tools, tips, and tricks, go to northidahorei.com. Today's episode, we have David Clinton. David is an investor based in North Idaho with a ton of experience and guidance to share. He's going to go over his do's and don'ts for getting started in the business. Stay tuned.
Okay. We did it.
All right.
We're finally meeting.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
You are a local legend, believe it or not.
Well, I appreciate that.
Everybody that is either new or an experienced investor that I talk to, they know you somehow.
I hope that's a good thing.
I'm really curious how that has come to be.
I guess it's because I make a point to reach out to newbies, and I think that making connections is what's gotten me far. You know, I figure more than half of the meetings I have don't really go anywhere from a business standpoint. But worst case scenario, you make a new friend, right? Mm-hmm. And best case, you have partnerships over and over again, and you make deals happen, serve sellers, make money, and have fun.
Yeah, I think so. I sat down with you first with my brother 7 years ago.
That sounds right. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
almost 7 years ago.
It was before we ever did a deal. I was just a realtor at the time, or I was just getting back into real estate.
Right.
I was a realtor
kind of just
for a
back
couple
into
of
town,
years.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think at that point you were doing some wholesaling. I think you had like 8 deals under your belt or something like that.
That sounds right.
But yeah, it's crazy how far we've come.
We've both come a long way. Right.
But if you don't mind, so can we start back at the beginning? What got you interested in real estate to begin with?
Yeah, so I sold a business in 2012.
Uh-huh.
And if you ever sell a business, you sell your job. And I'm sure people listen to this will have heard me do this spiel before. Mm-hmm. But I didn't prepare when I sold my business for what was next. And that's was a mistake on my part. My business partners had a plan. One of them went and got a job. One of them went and started working for himself. And I was twiddling my thumbs, not sure what was next.
What kind of business was this?
It was boring. Paperwork. I was forming corporations and LLCs.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Right. But I did find someone to sell that business to, and had a little bit of money in the bank, but that doesn't last forever. So I traded my stream of income for a lake, and as that was dwindling, I needed to find something to do. And I needed a family car at the time. We were trading up from a sedan to a minivan. Family was growing, and researching cars to death, I thought, I'm going to flip cars.
Ooh.
And as I was looking into that business...
I looked into that before my brother and I got into wanting to flip houses.
Right.
We were thinking, hey, let's start a car lot in Post Falls.
Nice.
Because, we both came from, I came from car sales, and we both used detail cars and stuff, and it just made sense. But, but then we went to a seminar and got more motivated. More
right.
motivated just to stick with real estate.
Have you ever thought about going back to that idea?
Cars? Maybe someday.
I've met a couple of...
I'm a psycho. I'm into all kinds of businesses right now.
Entrepreneurs usually are, right? I've got way more ideas than I have time to do them all.
Yeah. But real estate is something that it will always be my 80%.
Right. It's like in
and
my
then
blood.
With 20% of my time, I like to play around.
Dabble in other
That's
things.
my hobby, is like
right.
other businesses.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
That's what I am too.
But anyway, this is not about me.
Well,
let's continue. So you sold your business.
And I started to think about flipping
money
cars.
Running out, thinking about,
Right. And looking into that, I thought, there's got to be something I could flip with better margins than cars. And the light bulb went off. My dad had flipped real estate for years and years. And, often you never think you're going to do what your dad does. Just listen to Dave Black at the RIA last month.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. It never occurred to him to work where his dad worked until
Right.
it did.
Yeah.
And so I went and asked my dad, how do you get started in this? And then he had stopped in the crash. He stopped doing real estate, but he always wanted me to be in real estate with him.
That's interesting.
So he suggested I get online, find a mentor, and that's what I did. 2013, then I got in, looked at mentors online, and I found one. And that's what I'd recommend people do.
Wow.
All my biggest, most expensive mistakes were between mentors when I thought I could do it on my own.
That's funny. And it's funny you say that about your dad, too. You know what my dad used to do? He used to sell real estate.
Really? I had no idea.
And after the crash, he got out of it.
No way. Did he
also
get burned?
tried flipping houses towards at the peak of the market. And
Really?
Yeah, he got burned. Just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
But
What's he
tried.
doing now?
He's doing tile.
Okay.
With us.
Is he happy?
He's
Does
on
he
one of my
enjoy it?
flips right now. Yes.
Cool. Good for him.
He's the best tile guy out there.
That's awesome. The Idaho and Washington too?
I'm sure he'd probably go out there. Yeah. Yeah, he had a part-time job that he was working on that he gave up just to do tile.
You're
and
able to keep him
relax at
busy
home.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My dad never got back into flipping houses. He got burned too bad, and he got into home inspections, which he's not happy doing. But that's what he does.
That's what he does today?
Yeah.
Who's your dad?
Marketing is his favorite thing. He actually lives in Phoenix.
Oh,
and
okay.
he markets for a home inspection business in Southern California. And
Gotcha.
finds a good inspector. He does all the marketing, brings in the business, and then they split the business.
What a smart guy.
So marketing is his forte.
Okay.
So
Right on.
yeah.
Okay, so you said you got 2013, you start finding mentors, and you said it didn't go well? with the
I had
mentor?
a good mentor, and the model was set up where I would pay him monthly, and then we would split deals.
Okay.
And
was this something local or national?
no, the mentor was national.
Okay.
He was on the East Coast, and he had a number of students, and I liked his model because I knew that he was motivated to get the deal to the end. He won when I won,
Okay.
and he would hold my hand through the whole deal. And I knew I could pay for a course, pay a guru, and then do it on my own, and it would probably save me money. But I needed that motivation. Having just owned a business and worked for myself, what I learned was how to be lazy, and that was the problem. I needed to learn how to be a hard worker again.
Gotcha.
So I signed up with this mentor, and it worked out really well. And what I've learned over these years is a guru wants to make money off of you, where a mentor wants to make money with you. And I really, that kind of resonates with me.
I've never heard that before, but
I heard it from a different mentor.
light bulb
and
just went off in my head.
Really?
Yeah,
I kind
that makes
of,
total sense.
yeah, a guru wants to sell you education, and often it's good education, but they sell you the CDs and the books, and they're like, good luck, you're on your own. Like, it doesn't work for me. I think it's important to have a mentor, not just in business and real estate. I mean, when it comes to religion, basketball, whatever you're learning, I think a mentor is very important because that guy's been there before. He's made the mistakes, or she, and to follow in their footsteps, and they can sidestep the pitfalls. They've already fallen in them before. They can say, watch out for that. I've been there. You're not going to want to do that. And so I worked with this guy for a number of deals, and we split them. We both made a lot of profit. And then I got a little prideful. And I said, you know what? I got this. Thanks for your help. I'm going to go on my own.
So how long did that take until you got private?
Probably a year.
Okay.
And then, so I stepped away from him. And
So what kind of deals were you doing?
most of these were lipstick flips or wholesales.
Okay.
And when I stepped away from him is when I started making bigger mistakes. And
Gotcha.
and that was, I grew really fast. I got to about 17 flips at the same time, and trusting the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
And those were my two biggest mistakes. Trusting a bad contractor who you know. And
I remember.
And you've worked with this gentleman before.
And I'm such an idiot, I made the same mistake
After me, right?
after you.
And that's another thing I've learned too is some of these mistakes we can read about them on Bigger Pockets. We can hear about them from friends.
Yeah.
And like, oh, that's a great lesson. Thank you. I'll be careful of that. And then we go and make the same mistakes again.
That was the only deal I ever lost money on.
Really?
Was when I used that contractor.
Oh, that's good to hear.
It's the only one.
Wow.
And I'm not blaming it on him. I hired him knowing what you went through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these things we just have to learn the hard way.
Interesting the
right?
decisions we make.
Yeah. Right. So I found another mentor a little bit later after I had lost to, nearly $500,000. And this guy is like, you're making a mess of this business. And he helped me out a lot, helped me dig out of the hole. And now I don't do any deals without running it by my current mentor. Say, what do you think of this? And usually if it's a simple deal, he'll take a look at it and say, you got this. You're fine. You might want to be careful of that or watch out for that.
So did you go back to the first mentor, or do you have a new mentor?
No.
And is it local, or is it?
This guy's local.
Okay.
And I've learned, I'm a little gun shy about certain things that I made big mistakes on. Trusting the wrong contractors or growing too fast, doing too many flips at once. And I never really thought about going back to the first mentor. I think that's probably maybe another pride issue of mine, feeling like I maybe shouldn't have stepped away from him in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's how it goes,
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Right.
Move on. I think local's better. You're
I
going to
do
get
too.
better advice from a local mentor
Right.
when you're doing because real estate's local.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
he knows the local market. He's been doing this since before I was born.
yeah. A
and he
national
gets it.
mentor, I would imagine they know a lot about their own market.
Right, and they understand principles
and
that
you
can
can
apply
still learn
everywhere,
a lot from them. But
not quite the local nuances.
no, it's not the same touch.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So, how'd you get out of that hole? And are you out? If you don't mind me
That's a
asking.
fair question. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm out completely.
How
Because
long
it
you
was a
been in
deep
this hole?
hole. 2016 was the worst. That's when everything kind of fell apart. And
Okay.
the hole was created. The worst mistakes were being over leveraged, finding deals that were too slim, feeling like, okay, I can take $5,000 profit on a deal as long as I do a lot of them. But when they're all too slim,
What's the profit again?
$5,000.
5,000 on a flip.
Yeah, and I thought that's fine as long as I do a lot of those. And my numbers are good, but my numbers were not good. They were relying on this bad contractor and his numbers. So don't do that.
David, I will never do that.
Good.
So I'm curious. Do you mind if we talk a little bit about how you analyze a deal?
We can, but it's really nuanced and in depth.
Okay.
Because by now I've analyzed literally thousands of deals.
Yeah. So when you make a decision, do you make a decision based off the percentage of profit or the number that you expect to
That's
make?
a good question. I will change it up based on the deal itself, the exit strategy I want to accomplish on that particular deal, where I am in my own business cycle, and maybe what my partner wants to get out of it. I partner a lot, and I find value in working with different people. So it's on a per case basis, and I'll back the success metric into the analysis. So the first question I ask is, what's our goal here? How are we going to define success for this particular deal? And then we'll analyze based on that. If we want to make $30,000 minimum on this, then that's going to determine what we're going to offer. And if we can't, maybe we'll fudge that number after the analysis, say that'll never work. We'd be happy with 25. And at some point we're going to walk away from it. Like, well, we want to make 25 or we're not doing it. Maybe this particular partner wants a 10% cash on cash return. That's going to make a totally different analysis. Okay. So there's so many different success metrics out there. And I think there's not a right or wrong answer there. And a lot of people want to come at it as a one-size-fits-all. And I think that's the wrong way to look at it. It's very individualized, and that's okay. Because different people are coming from a different goal set. That makes sense?
Yes.
And I think it's the same with retail real estate. Every buyer and every seller has everything they want to accomplish, right?
The trick is asking the right questions to find out what they want to accomplish.
Exactly.
Which most people don't do.
Right. There are no
if
good
you want
answers
to
to
have an
bad
edge in
questions.
real estate sales, you just need to take a little bit more time with somebody and let them talk to you.
Absolutely.
And ask questions.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother subject. But I think it could relate a lot when you're dealing directly with a distressed seller.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's about coming up
That's
with
what
what
you
is
do a
it
lot
you
more,
need,
right? Like,
right?
If you can let us know, what's your deal flow like? Do you deal directly with sellers still? Or
Yeah,
do you
I'd
deal
say
with wholesalers,
probably
or?
about 55% of the deals I get come from wholesalers or referrals without having to market at this point in my career.
Yeah.
And maybe 45% come from direct marketing and direct from the seller. And so marketing directly has definitely helped a lot. And in the beginning, that's all I did. Okay. And then over time, you build relationships with other people. You get referrals from people who aren't necessarily in the game, or from people who they don't know what to do with that deal, but you do, because you have more creative tools, more creative ways to help the seller out.
Yeah. What's been your most effective lead sourcing, if you don't mind sharing? Like, has that been
in
your
the beginning,
website,
there's a lot
signs?
of the website. Not really. That's probably one of the hardest ways to go, is trying to SEO.
Okay.
And that one, it's one of the most expensive and most difficult to stay on top of. So I have
That's
a website.
interesting. You know, I had a different, because I think some of the deals I got from you, you mentioned you just got them on your website.
Yeah, well, and that's probably three deals out of 6 years
Yeah.
have come from my website, and they probably all went to you.
Okay. So I had a different, that's interesting. See, we never had this talk. I didn't realize it was like that. I thought
That was your perspective.
my perspective was, man, people are just
Coming in on my
going
website.
online these days. And yeah, that's,
Yeah, so it's actually
pretty.
pretty minimal overall.
Okay.
I think that my active direct marketing, bandit signs have worked,
Uh-huh.
but that's a hard strategy because you got to stay on top of them. Your
Yeah.
signs get taken down, or the city yells at you. You got to learn to stay in good graces of the city. We live in a small town. You don't want people mad at you, and yellow letters, handwritten stuff that it gets expensive after a while, and you
can
got
imagine.
to have a thick skin when people call you and yell at you. And so for a newbie, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And these things are tried and true all over the country. You hear about it all in Bigger Pockets and stuff. And I've gotten dozens of ideas that I haven't tried that I think that could work. I've tried a lot of things that haven't gone anywhere. And I don't regret spending money on that stuff. You have to try it.
What would you recommend for the newbies? Just avoid when it comes to deal sourcing.
I've tried pens. We buy houses pens. I would put them
Pens.
all over town. And, every time I went out to eat with my wife, I would replace the waitress's pen with a We Buy Houses pen because she's going to lay that thing down in front of every one of her customers to sign their check anyway. Never got me anywhere.
No, okay.
And I've got a decal on my car. I'm sure people see me around town. That hasn't got me any calls.
Has it got any conversations?
It has got me a couple of conversations, and it's something that it's hard to measure as far as
Effectiveness?
deal flow. Yeah, but it's something I can point to as far as trustability. I can talk to a seller and say, look, you see me around town. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not Mr. Fly-by-night.
Yeah, you pull up in their house to their house and you have the sign on your car.
Right. It's like I'm not going to disappear. I'm here.
You obviously do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. So there's something valuable to it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bring me new deals, but it adds to your credibility.
Okay. What has been like? I think I can guess what it is, but if you can give some more advice on what not to do.
Some people, and this works for some people. It's not my style, and so maybe it's a more matter of finding your own style. But a lot of people go out there and just throw hundreds of lowball offers all over town.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for me, and I know that it does work for some people. But I think you're gonna exhaust your realtor. Your realtor's eventually going to fire you, and you're going to have to find another realtor, and then that realtor's going to fire you, and you got to find another one. For me, I'm way more relational. I want to get a good realtor, have a good relationship with them long term, and so you got to make sure that you're not working your realtor to death by lowballing everybody, because those offers take your realtor time to do.
Yeah. Takes a half hour to an hour.
Right, and so if you're going to do
Very
100
fun.
offers a week, well, your realtor better be getting compensated for that, because most of those are not coming back with
But
a
they
deal.
don't. They only get compensated if the house sells.
Right, and when you're putting
That they're
offers on
working.
houses for $40,000, even if those come through, that's not feeding your realtor's family. So I think that's important to consider all the people in your operation, and how are they getting paid.
Yeah.
It's a very self-centered mindset of those kind of investors. So they're all only thinking about how they're getting paid. So I don't like that way of doing business. That also just throwing lowball offers at people isn't considering the seller and what do they actually need.
Mm-hmm.
That might accidentally fulfill a seller's need, but I want to get down in front of a seller and talk with them, figure out what it is. What do you want? A deal I passed to you a while back. We got an excellent deal on it. Both of us did well on it, and this seller they wanted to pay off some debt. They inherited this house. And I found out what they needed was just to pay off their debt and put some money in their pocket. And this is that tiny little house that was in okay shape, and I think you added a shop to it.
Oh,
You
yes.
remember?
Yeah, in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was
remember.
surprised at
And
how
I worked with them, helped them buy a
you
house
helped
too.
them buy a house too.
And I wasn't expecting to buy their house.
Was it Locust or?
Yeah.
And
But then
It was
while
so
we were in
low.
escrow, it turned out that they needed to sell their house quicker to qualify for the loan that we just made an offer on.
okay.
And then
so
you asked me, hey, you want to buy this house? And of course I do.
yes. So they took a really low offer, but it wasn't because I just threw a random lowball offer. I listened to them. I understood what they needed. They didn't need as much as somebody else in that house might have needed. They just had a low need, and it worked out really well. So I was able to really serve them and make money, and a colleague made money, and everybody won. A contractor made money.
They didn't have to go somewhere in between. They were
Right,
able to
and they got
stay
to
in that
buy
house
another house.
and just move into the next house after they closed, and they were able to, even though we closed on their house, we can be creative.
Yeah. So the
That's what I'm
creativity, I mean, so many different parties win in that situation. And I think when we do our job well as investors, I picture like being a hub in a spoked wheel, title and escrow and other investors, colleagues, sellers, buyers, everybody wins. And it's fun. Putting that puzzle together is what I really enjoy about this business.
It's fun. It's addicting,
It is.
especially if you win a couple times.
Yeah. Then there's those times
Yeah.
that are really hard, like Homestead.
Turned out great.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard
But it was
roads there, but it did
It was
work.
tough, but it was all my fault. I mean, I'm the one that complained about it, but nobody was to blame but me. I knew what I was getting myself into.
These are hard lessons, aren't they?
I'm the one that made the decision to constantly improve more and more, and just go over budget. But then it
still works.
as I'm sure you know, it's real easy to go way over budget on something,
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you need to eventually finish the project.
Yeah.
And
And you have to finish it well enough.
have you ever
to
had a
either
budget of
refire-
40,000 and spent 150?
Oh, maybe not
Anything
quite that
quite
far
like-
over, but I've at least doubled a
Yeah.
budget before. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's magic of real estate. It worked.
Right.
Numbers worked out great.
Yeah,
In the
sometimes
end,
we get
got all my
saved
money
by
back.
increasing market.
That helped too.
Yeah.
That did.
Learning this business in a decreasing market would be a lot harder.
Certainly would. Yeah, we definitely have that privilege right now.
Yeah.
Who knows how long it's going to last? But I mean, right now it's really, I feel like it's holding us back too. I mean,
Right.
everybody's fighting over 90%
Terrible
deals.
I found that too. Being an experienced real estate investor, the deals are harder to find. And I get that question all the time. Why are they hard to find? And I feel like a lot of novice investors are going out there excited. They got a little bit of money, but they don't know what they're doing. And so they overbid and overpay for stuff that they're going to get burned on because they just don't know any better.
Yeah.
And like
And the money's out
people
there
like you and me
available.
know better. I'm not touching that deal.
Yeah.
And
And then there were plenty of deals that we passed on that we wish now we would have taken.
But the only reason it became a deal was because the market inflated it, right? It wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily a wise choice to buy it. It just happened to turn out well. So it would have been a gamble.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be investing, that would be speculating.
Well, I just keep thinking of the property on Hayden Avenue. Every time I drive by it, the one, the big farm,
Yeah.
could have bought for 120 grand or 110, I think 100 even. I was able to get it for,
What
for
did
just a
it
short
triple
time.
in value?
Oh, it'd be a $600,000 house now. Easy.
I've
Or
seen a
more.
lot of those, though, that's like, well, but you think back, even if I ran my numbers that day, though, I shouldn't have bought it. It would have just been a roll of the dice.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's been fun.
Yeah.
So what are you working on now?
I've got a project I've had for too long, 2 acres with 7 houses on it. It's a very odd property.
I
in
heard about
Spokane.
the compound, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and my
I have
goal
some friends
is
that
to.
are invested with you.
Oh, do you?
Eric and Erica.
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
they told me just a tiny bit about it, like it's coming together now or something.
Yeah. Well, so we've improved the property. I put a lot of money into it, and the goal is to sell the compound kind of without dividing it up. But anything over that $1 million range is a buyer's market, and days on market are over a year, and so. That's been tough. People come in and they want to do an easy divide. Well, it's not an easy divide, or I would have done it already. So they call the city.
Anybody who's never done a subdivision thinks it's easy.
Right. Then everybody
Anybody
who calls the
who's
city gets
done
a
it
different
before.
answer. Yeah. So I went down to the city last week and figured out what I can do, and they want it divided up. They don't like 7 houses on one lot, zoned residential, single family.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to help, but I think I'm going to have to divide it up, turn it into a bunch of lots that are actually of one house on one lot, and that'll take some time. Either I need to get the plat all approved and then sell the idea to another investor. But just like with retail, single family flip, you have to paint the picture for the buyer because buyers don't have that vision. So within the higher realms of taking an investment and sending it to another investor, you kind of have to paint the picture. Say, here's what needs to be done. You can do it and add value. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the biggest thing on my plate. I've got another split and flip deal that I really love.
What's a split and flip?
Well, you divide the land, but there's a house on it. So
Uh-huh.
the house needs to be spruced up and flipped, and the extra lots you get out of it, you divide, you split the land.
Okay.
And either develop those or sell them to developers or a little of both.
Uh-huh.
And so I've done those a couple of times, and I really enjoy them.
Nice.
It's a little complex, and there's the puzzle factor to it, and that can be fun and lucrative as well.
Right on.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Couple
So,
things going on.
So you got the big compound going on. Anything else?
And mentoring novice investors. That's
Gotcha.
one of my favorite things in general. Probably about a third of my time spent working with newbies. And like my first mentor did with me, I work with them splitting deals and helping them avoid the pitfalls I've already fallen into.
Oh, okay.
So that they don't make the mistakes I've made.
I didn't realize you did this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you taking any more mentors at this time?
Yeah,
Or-
I've committed to my apprentices to only take 12. So I've got
Okay.
7 right now. And so I've got a little bit room for more.
So you got room for about 5.
Yeah.
Everybody. Well, we got 5. 5
That's right.
spots.
So you see me
That's an
reaching out to
opportunity,
people
man.
and always interested in meeting, and that's often where the conversation goes to see if we're a good fit and if people, some people want to do the do-it-yourself route and learn on their own, and that's fine. I mean, I kind of feel like for me, this is one of those things like brain surgery. You could probably learn on YouTube, but I don't know if I'd be willing to. There's too many things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And some of those, like I said, I've done wrong, made mistakes, it gets expensive, and having a mentor really helps you avoid a lot of that pain. So,
Yeah. Or even having the right private money lender can be a great mentor.
right. Yeah. I've learned that
If they're not
if
going to
the
fund a
lender
deal,
says no, that keeps you away from a lot of pain because
yeah,
it must not be a great deal.
exactly. Yeah. And if you're dealing with a private money brokerage, I would be leery just because they're going to try to put that deal together. It's not their money. They don't care. But if you're dealing directly with the private lender who's using their own funds, they're going to walk you through it a little bit more.
That
in
can
my
depend. I think
experience.
a private money broker has the motivation to keep all the relationships happy for the future because they want repeat lenders and they want repeat borrowers.
You would think.
Have you been burned by a private money broker in the past?
Not myself, but I've definitely heard stories about some.
Really?
Yeah. And we don't have to get into it or spread rumors, but I just want to throw that cautionary thing out there. If you're dealing with somebody who's not really putting the money in, just know that if you're looking for some sort of help or mentorship or advice, if this is good or not, they're just going to try to push a loan through, no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you're dealing directly with the person that's putting their own money into it and they've done it before,
They've got something to lose.
yeah, they've got something to lose. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You working on anything else? You got any other hobbies? Or you just...
Man, it's raising kids.
How many do you have to now?
Got 3 kids.
3 kids, that's right.
So yeah.
They're all well behaved.
Well, as well behaved as children can be, I suppose. I'm pretty happy with them.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And who's got time for hobbies, right? Raising kids and real estate investing, and that's about all there is.
I try to YouTube hobbies. Try to figure out, that's on my goal this
Yeah.
year. I want to do some sort of hobby, and it was on my goal last year. Never found a hobby, but I'm just searching for all kinds of stuff, like how to make stout beer,
Ooh.
how to make a cauliflower pizza. I'm just too busy to do any of this shit.
You're going to flip houses for work, and you're going to wholesale as a hobby, right?
Yeah. So what?
That's funny.
You have any goals for this year?
You know,
It's a new year, 2020.
What I would love to do is give money away. That's the reason I got into real estate.
Nice.
What really winds my clock is giving money away. But to give money away, you have to have money. So I got into real estate because one, I sold my job, but if I have a bunch of money, then I can give it away. And so I thought real estate makes people a lot of money. I got to learn how to do real estate.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get to the level where I can, my family's taken care of and I have excess capital to give away into things that I'm passionate about. Fund churches and missions and orphanages and people in need.
Yeah.
That really excites me. So I've actually become the president of a foundation for somebody else who has capital that has less time than I might have to focus on giving that away. So that really excites me.
Okay.
That would be a hobby I'm passionate about.
Awesome.
So we'll see where that goes this year.
Okay. Any other real estate goals this year?
I need to sit down and focus on putting those together. So often we get in the weeds of dealing with our deals and putting fires out. We need to sit back and what? I want to sell these properties off. I want to accomplish this many, and I haven't done that yet. So I don't have a good answer for you there.
That's okay. We don't. This is a free podcast. They don't need good answers. Just honesty.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for doing this. I think, I think I've kept you long enough. Unless you got anything else you want advice for people out there, or.
Well, I would say I think everybody should get a mentor, and that's not just a plug for me. I think it's important to get help with somebody.
Yeah.
And
Couldn't
if
agree
you're
more.
going to do it on your own, just be careful. There's a lot of ways you can go wrong, and so Bigger Pockets I think is a huge help. And there's plenty of people who are willing to give free advice, have coffee here and there. I'm sure Nick's available to help out with some
Do it all
advice
the time.
here and there.
Yeah.
And go to every RIA that isn't selling something in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint and where else you have RIAs now?
Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Sandpoint.
Right. So I mean,
The Spokane one's not mine. I kind of encouraged Yvette to start it. Yvette and Aaron, and then
Yeah.
Aaron moved to Florida. But
and
now
Dan
Dan
Grishko's
kinda
dropping
took
it
his
now
spot.
too. He's too busy.
But
It sounds like.
They're doing amazing though. I mean, they've got it packed.
And
all the
Kelly
time.
started one to give an
Yes.
option for Monday nights for people who can't make the Thursdays.
Yeah.
So.
Danny O'Bannon just started one.
Right. So I put it on my
And
calendar to try to go to
I
everyone.
wish I could make that, but it's the same night that the Sandpoint
Right.
one is, the second Tuesday of each, or second Thursday of each month. But
I'd encourage
So
everybody
many
to
meetings now.
attend to as many as you can, as long as Renatus is not part of it.
couldn't agree more. Yeah, if they're not selling education, it's still what you got to ask yourself: why is this person putting this on?
Yeah, and I guess I'll say
Um,
there's a time and a place to pay for education,
Mm-hmm.
but when you go in, you got to be really discerning. If you feel like there's 10% education I'm getting from this RIA and 90% of it's sales,
Yeah.
is it worth your time? You could be hanging out with your friends, you could be hanging out with your kids, and you got to choose the opportunity cost. What am I giving up to be here?
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, if I'm going to go to a RIA, it's worth my time if I learn something new. And if I've been full-time for 6+ years and I'm still learning something new, that's pretty good. And I do. At your RIA, at Kelly's RIA, at Yvette's RIA, I learn something new every time, and I love that.
Yeah,
And I
I
want to
do.
meet somebody new. And I do every time. And so that's worth it for me to go out there, even after an exhausting day of work. So
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I did purposely set it up. It's been 5 years now, as
Wow.
of next month.
that's awesome.
But I set it up with the intentions of this is going to be a real networking
Right.
education group, and what comes around goes around.
Yeah.
I'm like, it will pay off in the future just by getting to know these people.
And it has.
And it
I
has.
mean, and not just for you, but for everyone you
When I
bring in.
started,
I think
it
a
was
lot of
just
people
me.
add value to each other.
Mhm.
So that's been great.
Yeah.
Thank you for setting that up.
You're welcome. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing your 80 people
I do it again.
over time. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for doing this.
Thank you.
Let's do it again sometime.
Sounds good.
We're done.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Investor Shed podcast. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for instant access to all future episodes. If you or someone you know has investing experience or stories to share, reach out to us in the comments or via email.